God wants you to be with this person, and the reason this message is landing on you right now is because something deep inside you already knows it. You may not have words for it yet, but your spirit has been responding long before your mind could catch up. There is a name that keeps surfacing, sometimes gently, sometimes loudly, sometimes when you least expect it. You are not imagining that. You are not forcing it, and you are not being foolish for feeling it. There are connections that are assigned, not chosen, and this is one of them. God does not always announce his plans with thunder. Sometimes he whispers them through repetition, through patterns, through moments where a single name interrupts your thoughts again and again until you can no longer ignore it. You have tried to dismiss it. You told yourself it was coincidence, timing, nostalgia, or even loneliness. You tried to stay logical. You tried to stay guarded. But logic cannot silence what God has already spoken into your spirit. This connection was not created by attraction alone, and it is not sustained by emotion alone. It carries purpose. It carries alignment. It carries growth. That is why it feels different from the others. That is why it doesn't fade the way the rest did. You could walk away physically, but something keeps pulling you back internally because destiny does not loosen its grip just because you choose comfort over calling. God wants you to be with this person, not because it will be easy, but because it will be meaningful. There is a difference. Easy relationships entertain you. Assigned relationships transform you. This one presses you. It stretches you. It exposes areas in you that you didn't even know needed healing. That's why you felt uncomfortable at times. That's why you questioned it. Growth almost always feels like resistance before it feels like clarity, and God will often use another person as a mirror, not to shame you, but to show you what he is refining in you. When you see the name, something shifts. Your mood changes, your attention sharpens, your heart becomes alert. That reaction is not random. Your spirit recognizes what your mind is still processing. You were meant to cross paths in this season, not earlier and not later, but now when you are just strong enough to handle the weight of what this connection carries. If this had come sooner, it would have broken you. If it came later, you might have missed it altogether. Divine timing is rarely comfortable, but it is always precise. You may be wondering why it hasn't unfolded the way you expected, why there has been distance, silence, misunderstanding, or delay. But understand this clearly: God often separates before he unites. He allows space so he can do individual work that cannot be done together. If he brought you together too soon, you would bond over wounds instead of wholeness. And God is not interested in trauma-based connections. He is interested in covenant, alignment, and assignment. What he joins with intention. This person has been growing too, even if you can't see it, even if their actions don't yet reflect what God is doing behind the scenes. Transformation is not always visible while it is happening. Some of the deepest work happens in silence. God has been speaking to them in ways you are not aware of, just as he has been speaking to you in ways they don't yet understand. That is why the pull feels one-sided at times. That is why you feel like you are waiting. Waiting does not mean forgotten. It means prepared. Do not rush this. Do not force it. Do not manipulate circumstances to make it happen faster. When God is involved, speed is not your responsibility. Obedience is. Trust is. Discernment is. Every time you tried to move ahead of God, it created confusion. But every time you surrendered control, clarity followed. This is one of those moments where stillness matters more than action. God is aligning details you cannot see, conversations you are not part of, and decisions that must be made freely, not pressured. There is a reason this name surfaces during prayer, during quiet moments, during times of reflection. God often confirms his will in moments when distractions are removed. He speaks when your heart is open and your defenses are down, and he repeats himself not because he is unsure, but because you are. Confirmation is a gift for the hesitant, not a crutch for the stubborn. If you keep asking for a sign and the same name keeps appearing, that is the sign. This connection is not meant to consume you. It is meant to complement you. God does not send people to replace him, but to walk with you as you follow him. If at any point this person becomes your source instead of God, the alignment breaks. That is why God has been teaching you how to stand alone first. Independence before intimacy, wholeness before union, strength before surrender. You are not being delayed, you are being fortified. You may fear losing them, or worse, you may fear being seen by them. Real connections threaten comfort because they require honesty. This person sees parts of you others never noticed, and that can feel exposing. But what feels like vulnerability to you feels like recognition to God. He knows what he placed in you, and he knows who can steward it properly. Not everyone deserves access to your depth. This one does. Still, this does not mean you ignore red flags or silence wisdom. God's will never contradict discernment. Peace may not always feel exciting, but it never feels chaotic. Pay attention to how this connection aligns with your values, your growth, your faith, and your calling. If it pulls you away from who God is shaping you to be, it is not from Him. But if it challenges you to rise, to heal, to become more honest and more grounded, then you are witnessing divine alignment at work. There will be a moment, and you may sense it approaching, when clarity replaces confusion, when conversations shift, when barriers soften, when timing finally clicks into place. That moment will not feel forced. It will feel natural, even if it arrives unexpectedly. God often moves suddenly after long periods of silence. That is why patience is being tested now. That is why faith is being stretched now. Until then, guard your heart without closing it. Pray without obsessing. Trust without demanding. Let God lead this, because when He brings two people together, He does it in a way that no human interference can replicate. What is meant for you will not require you to chase it endlessly. It will meet you in obedience. It will meet you in alignment. It will meet you when both of you are ready to carry what God intends to build through this connection. And as you continue to notice the name, to feel the pull, to sense the timing drawing closer, remember that God is not teasing you. He is preparing you. He is teaching you how to recognize His voice in subtle ways, how to trust His process even when you don't have the full picture, and how to remain grounded while something meaningful is unfolding. This is not about romance alone. It is about purpose intersecting with relationship, about two paths converging, because God has decided that what comes next requires both of you aligned, present, and willing. So stay attentive, stay prayerful, stay patient, because the same God who placed this name on your heart is still working behind the scenes, still arranging moments, still softening hearts, still opening doors at the right time. And what feels like waiting right now is actually the final stretch before everything begins to move in a way that will make sense looking back, even if it doesn't fully make sense yet, especially when you start to notice how often the timing lines up, how conversations begin to shift, how circumstances start to rearrange themselves, and how the resistance you once felt begins to give way to a quiet certainty that something real is unfolding right in front of you, even if it hasn't fully taken shape yet. And you may find yourself standing at the edge of a decision where faith matters more than certainty and trust matters more than proof, because this is often the point where God asks you to lean in just a little deeper before revealing what comes next. And as you continue to sit with that name, as it reappears in conversations, in thoughts, in dreams, and even in random moments when you least expect it, know that this is God confirming that this is not just a fleeting feeling or a passing thought. It is His hand moving subtly, consistently, and persistently in your life to draw you toward alignment. You might find that the people around you do not understand the pull you feel. They might question why you seem fixated on a name or why certain thoughts consume your attention. That is because what God orchestrates is often invisible to those who do not operate in the same frequency of faith. But you are not operating in ordinary frequency. You are operating in divine frequency, and that allows you to hear the whispers, feel the nudges, and recognize the signs that others dismiss. Do not mistake loneliness for divine connection. There is a difference. Loneliness is a void that seeks to be filled temporarily. God's assignment is a presence that transforms permanently. This person, when the time is right, will not merely occupy space in your life. They will complement the path God has set before you, magnify the vision He has placed in your heart, and reflect the maturity He has been cultivating in you. That is why preparation is critical now. You cannot step into this connection carrying unresolved pain, unhealed wounds, or unchecked patterns. God's timing includes not only alignment of hearts, but also alignment of character. You must be ready internally to handle externally what He is about to reveal. You may experience moments of doubt, and that is normal. Even the most faithful hearts encounter questions when the future is uncertain. You might ask, is this really from God? Or am I imagining it? Or what if it doesn't work out? These are not failures of faith, they are tests of faith. How you respond in moments of uncertainty defines your readiness. Do you respond by clinging to God more tightly, or do you allow fear to dictate your choices? Divine connections often come with moments of testing, precise, to reveal whether you are anchored in purpose or drifting in desire. Recognize the difference, because what you do now shapes what will be possible later. There will be signs along the way. Not all will be obvious, but some will be unmistakable. Perhaps an unexpected message, a coincidental meeting, a sudden insight, or a dream that lingers longer than usual. These are God's gentle confirmations, reminders that you are not alone, and that He is actively orchestrating events beyond your comprehension. But be careful. Do not become obsessed with signs. Obsession distorts perception. Faith trusts quietly. Faith acts patiently. Faith waits, knowing that God's timing is perfect even when it defies your schedule, expectations, or impatience, remember that he is never late, though his timing might feel delayed. While you wait, focus on yourself. This season is about growth, clarity, and alignment. Work on becoming the person God wants you to be before he brings this individual fully into your life. Strengthen your spirit, clarify your intentions, and refine your character. Be honest with yourself about your weaknesses, your fears, and your desires. Be bold enough to confront areas in your heart that are messy, unhealed, or unaligned. This is not punishment, it is preparation. What God is about to connect you with requires a foundation sturdy enough to support the blessings, responsibilities, and spiritual growth that come with divine alignment. It is also essential to release C. The temptation to manipulate outcomes or rush moments is strong, especially when desire and destiny collide. But control is the enemy of divine timing. God's ways are higher than ours, and his methods are not always linear or predictable. He may close doors you thought should be open or delay opportunities you thought were ready. These moments are not signs of denial, they are signs of preparation. He is ensuring that when the moment arrives, it will arrive with maximum clarity, impact, and mutual readiness. Surrendering control is not weakness, it is obedience. Obedience positions you to receive exactly what God intended, untainted by human interference. You may also notice resistance, internal and external. People may misunderstand your focus on this person. Life circumstances may create challenges. Past habits may resurface. Internal doubts may feel louder than your faith. This is normal. Every divine connection meets resistance because it is about transformation, not comfort. If it were easy, you might not grow into the maturity required to sustain it. Challenges are not deterrents, they are refining fires. They prepare you, test your commitment, and strengthen your reliance on God rather than circumstance. How you navigate these moments defines whether you are truly ready to embrace what is being orchestrated for you. Communication and clarity will be essential when the time comes. When God finally opens the path, do not underestimate the power of honesty, transparency, and vulnerability. Divine connections are rooted in truth. Hidden agendas, unspoken expectations, or half-hearted commitments will not sustain what God intends. Be brave enough to speak clearly and patient enough to listen deeply. Understand that this is not about perfection, but about authenticity. God does not bring people together to create flawless scenarios. He brings people together to build faithful, aligned, and purpose-driven partnerships. You are being called to meet this person with a heart ready to engage fully, to listen fully, and to act faithfully. Faith is not passive in this process. While waiting and preparing, there is work to do. There is prayer to lift, guidance to seek, and discernment to practice. This is not a time to coast. Faith requires engagement. It requires conscious alignment with God's instructions in your daily life. Your attitude, your choices, and your consistency in spiritual discipline all signal to God that you are prepared to receive and steward the connection He is orchestrating. He honors diligence, obedience, and a heart committed to walking in His ways. Small steps of faith now lead to monumental revelations later. Expect the unexpected. God does not operate in predictability. What you imagine as the timing, the sequence, or the approach may be entirely different from His actual plan. Be open to surprises, divine interruptions, and shifts that challenge your understanding of timing. What may feel like a delay may actually be a strategic alignment of circumstances. What may appear as an obstacle may be a positioning that allows both of you to step into greater readiness. Flexibility in faith allows you to recognize God's movement even when it does not resemble what you expected. Adaptability is not compromise, it is spiritual intelligence. At the same time, guard your heart against comparison. This person's journey is not your competition, and your process is not identical to anyone else's. Comparing timelines, actions, or decisions to others will only foster frustration and distraction. God's plan is unique to your path. The repetition of this name in your life is not for validation or to compete. It is for divine assignment. Focus on the alignment, not the external appearances. Focus on the lessons, not the noise. Focus on the preparation, not the impatience. Your peace and readiness depend on clarity and focus. There will be moments when doubt surfaces and old wounds whisper lies. You are too late. It won't happen. You misheard God. These are lies of the enemy designed to misalign your faith from divine purpose. When those thoughts arise, speak truth louder than fear. Remind yourself of the persistence of the name, the subtle confirmations, and the alignment of your spirit. This is not happenstance. This is orchestration. The same God who guided you to recognize this connection is the same God who will guide its unfolding. Trust is not optional, it is essential. Spiritual discernment is crucial. Recognize that God uses multiple channels to communicate, not only through emotions, but through circumstances, signs, and sometimes through the counsel of others. Be attentive, not reactive. Learn to differentiate between instinct, desire, and divine prompting. Instinct is natural, desire is personal, but divine prompting carries a weight of alignment, peace, and clarity that cannot be ignored. Learn to respond to that guidance, even if it challenges your assumptions, desires, or plans. When the time finally comes to engage fully with this person, your readiness will dictate the quality of the connection. You will meet not as incomplete halves seeking validation, but as aligned individuals ready to co-create with God's purpose. This is not a casual meeting. It is a convergence orchestrated with divine precision. Every trial, every delay, every whisper, and every sign has been preparing you to recognize, receive, and steward this connection in a way that glorifies God, transforms your life, and fulfills the destiny that He has planned through it. Even in anticipation, remain grateful. Gratitude in waiting cultivates patience, peace, and clarity. Recognize that every step of preparation, every moment of testing, and every instance of persistence is a sign of God's involvement in your life. Gratitude shifts perspective from longing and frustration to recognition and trust. It allows you to celebrate divine orchestration even before the tangible manifestation of the con. Shion. Thank God for the name, for the preparation, and for the alignment that is occurring beyond your awareness. Your prayer life will deepen. Your understanding of patience will expand. Your ability to recognize divine patterns will sharpen. All of this is part of God's design. He is not only orchestrating a connection, He is cultivating the person you need to become to handle it with integrity, wisdom, and faithfulness. Every challenge you face, every moment of uncertainty, and every reflection on this name is part of the refining process. The connection is not just about union, it is about transformation, preparation, and divine alignment that affects not only your life, but the purpose God is accomplishing through you both. As the days pass, as the seasons change, and as the world continues moving around you, keep this focus. Keep the name alive in your spirit without obsession. Keep your heart open without recklessness. Keep your faith active without control. This delicate balance is what positions you to receive God's timing perfectly. It is a spiritual posture, attentive, patient, and aligned, that ensures when the door opens, you walk through fully aware, fully prepared, and fully confident that this is God's assignment and not a product of circumstance or wishful thinking. Every detail counts, every decision matters. Every choice to honor God's process, even when inconvenient or confusing, strengthens your readiness. When He finally brings this person fully into your life, it will not be by chance. It will be by careful divine design. That is why your current obedience, patience, and discernment are so critical. They are laying the foundation for a relationship, a partnership, and a connection that is designed to thrive, to fulfill purpose, and to bring glory to God through the alignment of hearts, minds, and spirits. Even when you see obstacles, remember that alignment is deeper than appearances. What seems like distance, delay, or confusion is often the exact positioning God orchestrates to bring clarity, refine character, and establish a lasting foundation. Trust the process, trust the timing. Trust the work being done internally, externally, and spiritually, both in you and in the person connected to this name. Patience is not passive. It is active faith, the willingness to trust what is unseen, and the commitment to remain aligned even when the path is unclear. The name you see repeatedly is not just a reminder, it is a calling. It is a signal that God is moving in your life with precision. It is an invitation to step into obedience, to cultivate patience, to embrace preparation, and to align your heart with His purpose. This connection is a spiritual assignment, and every moment of waiting, every moment of reflection, and every step of preparation matters. Do not underestimate the power of alignment. Do not dismiss the persistence of the name. Do not ignore the peace that arises when you consider the connection with faith and clarity. As the journey unfolds, recognize that God's methods may be subtle, but His intentions are profound. He has orchestrated this path to teach you resilience, patience, discernment, faithfulness, and readiness. He is not simply orchestrating a meeting of two hearts. He is orchestrating a convergence of purpose, vision, and divine destiny. Every preparation, every waiting period, every whisper, and every moment of clarity is designed to equip you for the fullness of what He is about to reveal. And even when it is not fully visible yet, trust that every detail is in His hands, unfolding perfectly according to His will, with precision, purpose, and love guiding every step. And as the days continue to pass, as seasons shift, as the world spins with its usual chaos, keep returning to that name. Do not fear it. Do not try to suppress it. Let it rise in your thoughts and in your spirit, because it is God's way of keeping your attention where it needs to be. That name is not just a word or a memory. It is a signal, a divine pull, a gentle yet persistent nudge from God. Every time it crosses your mind, it is not coincidence. It is a reminder that something greater is at work, something larger than circumstance, larger than timing, and larger than your own understanding. God often works in ways that seem subtle, almost imperceptible, but these subtle whispers are the things that shape destinies. The quiet moments of awareness, the fleeting thoughts, the coincidences that repeat, they are all divine markers, placing you exactly where you need to be, preparing you for the encounter that He has ordained. You may feel the impatience building inside you. You may ask yourself, how long must I wait? How much longer will this take? But know this, God's timing is never rushed, nor is it delayed. It is perfect. And while waiting may feel uncomfortable, it is never wasted. Every day you wait is a day of growth. Every moment of anticipation is a moment of refinement. Every period of uncertainty is an opportunity for you to cultivate trust in God's plan. And even when the wait seems endless, the preparation is active work. It is the invisible effort that sets the stage for visible results. If God brought you together too soon, without preparation, without alignment, without readiness, the blessings would not manifest fully. You must be prepared spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and even practically to step into what He has designed for you. The person connected to this name is being prepared as well. Even if it doesn't look like it, even if the path seems unclear, even if you feel like you are waiting alone, trust that God is working on their heart, their mind, and their spirit in ways you cannot see. Sometimes what you are waiting for is not just about you. It is about alignment on both sides. If only one of you is prepared, the connection cannot fully flourish. That is why some of the delays, the confusion, the unanswered questions, and the misalignments exist. They are not obstacles, they are refinements. They are God's method of ensuring that when the time comes, both of you are ready to step into a connection that is transformative, aligned, and purposeful. You must also guard your expectations. In connections, do not always follow the narrative your heart imagines. Sometimes they unfold slowly, sometimes they unfold unpredictably, sometimes they test your faith before confirming your destiny. But the beauty of God's orchestration is that even when it defies your imagination, it always fulfills His purpose. You may see moments that seem like setbacks, but what appears as a setback is often a setup for a breakthrough. Trust that the twists, the turns, the pauses, and even the confusion are all intentional. God never wastes effort. He never misdirects. Every detail, every step, every name mentioned, every thought revisited, every quiet whisper is part of the design that leads to the moment when heart's timing and purpose finally converge. Do not mistake inactivity for absence. Just because there is a pause, a delay, or a period of silence does not mean God is absent. He is actively moving, arranging, and orchestrating elements in ways that only His omniscience can manage. What may feel like stillness is actually strategic preparation. What may feel like silence is actually divine communication in forms you have not yet learned to recognize. That is why you must cultivate sensitivity to His voice. Prayer, reflection, meditation, and attentiveness to subtle nudges are your tools for recognizing alignment. Your spirit will often recognize what your mind has not yet processed. That is why seeing the name repeatedly is significant. It is a spiritual recognition that your heart knows even when your logic has not caught up. There will also be challenges to navigate. Not all obstacles are external. Many come from within. Fears of rejection, doubts about timing, insecurities about worthiness, and uncertainties about alignment all rise in these seasons. Do not see them as signs of failure. See them as tests. See them as opportunities for growth. Your faith is strengthened in moments of internal struggle. Your trust is refined in periods of doubt, and your readiness is solidified when you learn to rely on God rather than on circumstance. Divine connections are never just about attraction or convenience. They are about maturity, purpose, and alignment. You are being shaped to receive what you cannot yet see fully. When it finally comes time for your paths to fully intersect, you must approach it with intention. Do not rush, do not force, and do not assume that familiarity equals alignment. Divine connections require careful stewardship. They require respect, patience, understanding, and a commitment to walking the path God has set for you both. This is not a casual encounter. It is a meeting orchestrated with spiritual precision. Every interaction, every conversation, every shared moment has been designed to test, refine, and confirm readiness. Treat it with reverence, for what God has prepared is far more than temporary companionship. It is a connection that carries potential for transformation, purpose, and fulfillment that reaches beyond the ordinary. Faith and patience remain your anchors, even as life pulls you in different directions, even as external pressures attempt to distract or discourage you. Keep returning to prayer and reflection. Keep seeking divine guidance on how to engage with this connection. Keep listening for the confirmations and nudges that God places along your path. Even the small signs, an unexpected call, a fleeting thought, a repeated memory, are God speaking to you, reminding you that His plan is active, present, and unfolding. Trust these moments. They are not coincidences. They are intentional markers guiding you toward the alignment that is intended for you. At the same time, do not neglect your personal development. This is a season to strengthen your mind, expand your heart, and refine your spirit. Your ability to handle this connection when it manifests fully depends on your readiness now. Address the areas in your life that require healing, closure, or transformation. Release what no longer serves your purpose. Cultivate discipline in your actions and intentions. Align your daily choices with the values, principles, and spiritual truths that God is teaching you. Preparation is not passive. It is active, deliberate, and transformative. The more intentional you are in your personal growth, the more capable you will be of sustaining and nurturing this connection when it arrives. Be mindful of how you interact with the world around you. Opportunities, relationships, and circumstances that seem unrelated may actually be divine positioning. God often uses seemingly random events to prepare you for intentional encounters. Pay attention to patterns, coincidences, and moments of clarity that arise naturally. These are signs that the spiritual and natural realms are intersecting in your favor. Do not dismiss them. Recognize that God's orchestration is multi-layered. What you perceive as ordinary may actually be extraordinary alignment in action. Sensitivity to these cues will prepare you for the moment when the name you have been seeing becomes more than a whisper. It becomes a reality in your life. Do not let doubt overshadow hope. Even when circumstances seem unclear or progress appears slow, maintain a posture of expectation. God has never failed you, and His faithfulness continues in every season. Hope is not passive wishfulness, it is active trust. Hope carries faith forward, sustains patience, and keeps your heart open for divine possibilities. Let hope guide your perspective, shape your prayers, and influence your actions. When the name surfaces, let hope affirm that this is not mere coincidence, but a divine prompt, a marker of what God is preparing to manifest in your life. You may also encounter moments of testing. These tests may come in the form of temptations to settle, distractions that threaten focus, or doubts that attempt to cloud judgment. These are not accidents. They are intentional moments designed to assess readiness. How you respond to these tests demonstrates the depth of your alignment with God's purpose. Choose obedience over impulsivity. Choose patience over haste. Choose discernment over assumption. Every choice made in faith strengthens your alignment and positions you to receive what God has meticulously prepared. These moments of testing are refining fires, not barriers. Embrace them as opportunities to demonstrate faithfulness, integrity, and readiness. And while waiting, do not neglect gratitude. Gratitude opens the heart to receive, shifts perspective from lack to abundance, and cultivates joy even in periods of anticipation. Thank God for the name, for the repeated nudges, for the growth you are experiencing, and for the clarity that comes with attentive reflection. Gratitude ensures that your heart remains humble, your mind remains focused, and your spirit remains aligned. It transforms waiting from a period of frustration into a season of preparation, reflection, and alignment with divine intention. When the moment finally arrives, gratitude will allow you to enter it with clarity, peace, and awareness of the sacredness of what God has orchestrated. The relationship God is preparing is more than emotional connection. It is spiritual alignment, purposeful collaboration, and shared growth. You are being prepared not just to meet this person, but to engage with them in ways that honor God, manifest, and purpose, and fulfill divine assignment. Every conversation, every encounter, every reflection, and every prayer is laying the foundation for a connection that transcends the ordinary. It will not be without effort, growth, or challenge, but it will be rich with meaning, alignment, and transformative potential. This is the difference between a relationship built on desire alone and a connection orchestrated by God. One is fleeting, the other eternal. Even in the mundane moments, be alert. God often works quietly through seemingly insignificant events. A chance encounter, an unexpected message, a shared interest, or even a recurring thought can be a part of the divine orchestration. Remain attentive to the subtle ways He moves, knowing that no detail is too small for His attention. These moments prepare you, test you, and align you in ways that are often invisible but profoundly impactful. By recognizing these patterns, you train your spirit to discern the difference between ordinary coincidence and divine orchestration. Faithfulness in waiting is key. Resist the urge to settle for less than what God has prepared. Resist the temptation to force connections that are not divinely aligned. Resist the pull of impatience or fear. True alignment requires fidelity to God's timing and obedience to His guidance. What God has planned cannot be accelerated by human will, but it can be hindered by impatience, doubt, or misalignment. Trust that your faithfulness now ensures the fullness of the blessings to come. It is in these moments of careful, deliberate obedience that your readiness is confirmed, your character is refined, and your alignment is solidified for the divine connection ahead. The name you keep seeing is more than a reminder. It is an invitation. It is an invitation to deepen your faith, strengthen your character, align your purpose, and prepare your heart. It is an invitation to engage in the work of readiness, to cultivate patience, and to trust in the precision of God's timing. Every thought of this person, every moment of reflection, every prayerful consideration is part of the preparation God is orchestrating. By honoring the process, you honor the divine connection that is being readied for you. Every effort, every act of obedience, every step of faith counts. As we draw this message to a close, understand this clearly. The repeated appearance of this name in your life is not accidental. It is God's divine signal that something extraordinary is being prepared for you. Every moment of waiting, every test, every reflection, and every act of faith has been purposeful, refining you, strengthening you, and aligning your heart with His plan. This connection is not merely about companionship. It is about destiny, purpose, and spiritual alignment. Trust in the process, remain steadfast in faith, and continue to cultivate patience, gratitude, and discernment. When the time comes, you will recognize the fullness of God's orchestration, and you will step into a connection that is not only meaningful, but transformational. Let your heart remain open, your spirit remain vigilant, and your faith remain unwavering, knowing that God's timing is perfect and that what He has planned for you is worth every moment of preparation.